clarify why I was speaking about the STC. The STC is a direction, but what happens, think about it. If you go to the bank and get money, the bank is what? Your creditor. So what the bank is saying, they gave you something and you got to give it back to them. But if the bank is broke, that means they had to get something from somebody else to give to you, right?
Right.
So if you're coming in as SDC, then you're just coming in as a different form, like you're coming in as a creditor. So that means you're getting money from out your account, but it's not really your account. Why? Because you don't have direct ownership or direct access, because you're going through a channel. You're going through a filtration system that happens to be whoever y'all talk to that day.
Right.
So like we was talking about, everything, people don't realize, just like in the Bible, everything deals with trust. Everything is a trust. That's why I was saying you have to go to the Social Security admin's website and look up, they deal in trust funds. So the government, everything is about trust. The Constitution is a trust document. Donald Trump is no trustee. And everyone under him are subordinate trustees. The government are trustees over certain areas. Because remember, this country, or this continent called America, it already had inhabitants. They were the heirs of these lands. Moors. You see what I'm saying here? They was called them Indians, but they were Moors. They were Native Americans. They were different nations of people. Iroquois people, the Pawnee people. You see what I'm saying? So, therefore, there were different nations of people already here. Now, those nations of people, when those foreigners, those coming from Europe, running away from the king or whatever, came over here, they want to go to start a new life. Okay, to come over here to this land, you got to pay to use our resources. So that's where the private and the public came, because the private regulates the public. It's just like, if you've been on lockdown, they tell you the inside runs the outside. You feel me?
Right.
So what happens is, by there being a private sector, the private sector is run, like I said, by general law. That's why I say you want to get a certified copy of the Constitution. Why? Because those are trust documents, those are contracts. Every government official and their contracts and their representatives, they are under a trust contract. Matter of fact, every CEO of every company is also under that same contract. So that's where when it comes in getting discharged, when you got a cable bill with Xfinity, if they're not going to take it through your TDA account, okay. Like I was telling you, look up 31 USC 3123. That's the full Safety Credit Act. The U.S. Treasury, the Secretary of the Treasury, he's under an obligation to pay your bills. If you don't under the TDA, my nigga, you gonna take it this way. Because he's under an obligation. You feel me? So when you get that first certificate authenticated, that's with the credit, it becomes the obligation upon his shoulder. So now he becomes yoked. So now he becomes the marked beast. You feel me? So now that's that transfer of power. You see what I'm saying? Because at first they had authority over me, or let's take it back to the box. The devil had a claim on my soul because I was in sin of some nature. But now, you see what I'm saying? You're going through that Lazarus, you're going through that you're going through that Christ, you're going through that death, burial, and resurrection, you're coming back. You know what I'm saying? In a new form, in a new life, because now you once was blind, now you see. Hold on, your choice over my estate, because I'm the heir of the original descendants of this land. So therefore, I am Native American. I like to be Indian, I sit up there and be whatever. I'm Native because why? Because my origin was on these lands. So I can't claim African American to be real because I did not begin in Africa. I began here in America, because we go look at my children. Where did you begin? You began with your father. Your father began where? He began here with his mother. You see what I'm saying? So we are the heirs of those that even when they were brought here to America, what they were brought here, and they had children, their children were what? Native American. So everyone has to realize when that document gets verified, you verify it's been a Native American. Now, what nation of people? That's a different category. Because, like you said, we have Moors, and Moors wasn't just our color. Just dark skin Moors were variations of colors. But Moor, not a nation, Moor was like a description of a people. You have to figure out what your nation is. Now, that's when, you know what I'm saying, getting deep into, like, you know what I'm saying, the bloodline. But as far as it goes here, when you get that certificate of live birth authenticated, it's verifying that your origins was on these lands. And so, therefore, by getting it authenticated, at that point in time, now that's where the social becomes an obligation of them. So if I get a student loan, that loan is not my obligation. Why? Because I had to get that loan for a public situation, but in the private, here's my paperwork, the federal government, this is on your back. And if you don't pay it, that's a breach of contract, which means it's still not my problem.
Right.
You feel me? Because you can look up House Resolution 807. If there's anybody that's on their laptop right now, punch in HR 807. It's the Full Faith and Credit Act, and it tells you in that document, it's about like a 5 or 10 page document. And they'll tell you as you go to the site, I think it's in part 5, section A of that document, it tells you the sole purpose of them even putting that act in play was to keep us from going through another depression like that in the 1930s. So what they're saying is the people need to begin paying their bills or having their debts discharged through us so we can get these books balanced in the private and start getting these accountings done the proper way. Like I was saying, that's why when you was paying your stuff through your account with your private account, that's why you was getting that refund check. Why? Because you balanced the book. That's why you ain't getting stuck with it. Ain't no laws at your house. You feel me? Why? Because you balanced the books. That's how it's supposed to go.
Right.
So, but say, you see, if you was an SPC, how can you're not necessarily balancing the books. You're just getting access as like as what they say, as like a agent or a representative. No, you want to come in as the registered owner. That's why I told y'all about Rule 220 out of Minnesota. If anybody's online, pull that up. You feel me? Look what the court said out of Minnesota right there in your face. If you have a certificate of live birth, which is basically a certificate of title to the estate, to the trust, to the assets, it's the record of the creation of when you came in and the account was created. That's the original master file right there.
Yeah.
So now, excuse me, I'm blinded to traffic. So now, when they sit up there and get the certificate of live birth authenticated, what they're also doing is verifying that that's a security, because it goes through a security clearance in Virginia.
Okay.
And see, I learned that. And the reason why they do that is because there are certain features on that document that must be verified to show it's not counterfeit. Because their only honor is their only gift to fit the credit to that particular document. Because that particular document is what they call an obligation of theirs. And under what was I quoting from? Oh yeah. And under the Rule 220, it's telling you that the certificate of live birth is a document of title, and it tells you that the person, the owner of that record, their name, their date of birth, all that. So really, that document is really owned by 3 people technically, because it says the owner's name is going to have their name, date of birth is going to have their name, address, so something in that particular form I don't have it in front of me. But what it's saying is that the mother, the father, or the child who was the rightful heir, those 3 can claim that document, and the UCC covers it. I think on the article, it's either Article 9 or Article 8, I got to sit up there and get to my books. But the UCC covers it. That's where you want to come in. That's why we do a UCC. You want to sit up and do an actual UCC because that's an actual lien. The UCC 9 tells you that's not required. It says do a non-UCC, and what you do, you perfected your notice of claim. That's all you have to do. And the UCC tells you how to fill that document out.
Right.
And that's why I was saying you can Google or search Jonah Bay because he's the one that was teaching me about that. And then that's why I said because the UCC is how you sit up there and transfer property or sit up there and file a claim upon property. But you see, what sit up there and file that non-UCC on the birth certificate, you can file a UCC on the what you call the derivatives of. That's where you got your voter's card, ID, registration, because those are all contracts. So those are really things, those are all securities, because what happens is the government deals with securities. That's why you have the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission. Everything is securities. Even the Federal Reserve Note, it's a security. That's why you got a serial number on there, because there's bonds attached to it. And that's why under 18 U.S. Section 8, the federal government must have there redeem those reserve notes. Why? Because it's a contract. Because in all actuality, a reserve note or a dollar is a promissory note. It's a promise to pay. And that's when you go back to House Resolution 197, HR 182, and Chapter 48 Stats 112, dealing with the bankruptcy. And that's where the federal government is under obligation to discharge your debt dollar for dollar. So a dollar reserve note must be discharged in the private with a silver dollar. Okay, and it must have have an equal value to dollars to book. So if people got time, they want to look up 18 USC Section 8. It's going to say to you right into your face. Federal Reserve notes going to say bill, light bill, water bill, phone bill, gas bill. You see what I'm saying? Insurance, everything is a bill. They talking about coupon. Think about it. When you sit up there and get to lease a car, which is nothing more than a mortgage, we sit up there and lease a car, was extended into a payment coupon. Send that coupon to the Treasury so they can pay it off for you. Pay it to the order of U.S. Treasury, discharge this. And when they sit up there and when they get to the anything, you always want to give them a copy of their rule or what their law is. Because if you go back to Article 4, Section 1 of the Constitution, full faith and credit to every act, judicial act, public act, court act. So you want to give the Library of Congress and get you a certified copy of 31 USC 3123, because that's the law that says the Treasury must pay your bills. And that stuff is like maybe $5, $6, to be honest, it's just cheap. But when you get the certified copy, you keep that main copy and you copy that. You sit up there, pay your bills off with the King bill or whatever. You get those IRS forms. You have to order them online. I think from IRS.gov or IRS.gov/forms. You got to get the original. Like you got to get the original 1099A, 1096, and you use those forms to sit up there and discharge, or when you sit up there and you take that debt off your back and you put it back on the back of the government where it belongs, because it's their obligation, and they can't run with why? Because they wrote it into their law. So they're under an obligation, even with they boxed themselves in. See, we never even realized they were already on the fence for this, but we never knew it. But we once was blind, now we see. You know what I'm saying? So now the renewing of our minds is what's going to get us up there and bring us into a different light. Because now, by seeing what's going on, the Bible tells you what? The Bible says, get wisdom, and with wisdom, get knowledge.
Get knowledge.
So now, once you begin to learn what's going on, you begin to create your remedy, or you begin to sit there and create your your counterattack. And that's where you come in, and the pen becomes mightier than the sword. Because when you sit up there and put pen to paper and you begin to speak with their words, but you begin to format the words in the manner in which they realize I can no longer sit up there and play them like a fool. They have to come at you correct. Why? Because you're showing them intelligence. You're showing them that you are at the age of majority, or that you're waking up to that particular level. And by getting your documents in order, you're doing all this in the private. And so that's why, like I say, the most important thing to do is everyone sit up there and get that birth certificate. Because think about it. And when I was thinking about, something, when it comes to the DTC, to come to the DTC, I think it costs like $2 million to become a part of that particular to be a part of that situation. And I was wondering, are they getting those people together, SBC groups or whatever, to come in to be a member of the DTC? Because I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense that we get the amount of money. But what's happening is, even going into the DTC, you're still attached to the corporation. Why? Because they're what? They're public. You want to sit up and come in with what they call the registered owner. Because when you come in as the owner, they have no jurisdiction. And coming in as the owner, you come in also as a shareholder. Because remember, like I told you, it was revealed to me, and I should have been to the paperwork into the treasury, that this document is also a savings bond, and it's also a treasury security. And that's what the big confirms the trust fund that was that's spoken about on the SSA website. There's two of them. Those trust funds that funded your investment. And so when they get investment, so when the money comes in, the money comes to those accounts. And then the law says they must pay the beneficiary, they must pay out that money every year, because it should be, because it gets funded every 6 months, or it gets funded annually. So that's what the best up there and get. Like if you're getting food stamps or anything, right, it's on the debit card. If anybody ever think about it, the food stamp card is the bank card, correct? Mm-hmm. So when you slide it and you do what you put in those people that you take, you just tap into your account.
Right.
And of course, you're paying the public they're paying through the state and the private. What's happening is they don't want people own these programs. Why? Because they're tapping in their account. And see, now, I'm going to sit up there and bring out a revelation that's getting out of everybody else's call, but I pray to show me. You having all those shootings back, and the laws is getting off.
Right.
Now, here's that revelation. Like I said, a trust fund is set up, and what happens is it has to be claimed. Now, like with lost and found or anything, if somebody has something and it's required to be claimed after a certain period of time, by law, it can be claimed by somebody else. Mm-hmm. So, if these accounts are in possession by, let's just say, in the possession of a government entity, and the government entity controls those accounts, and if the owner of those accounts that were claiming for that account would happen to be found to be deceased, they have a wrongful claim to the account. That's where probate comes in. Mm-hmm. Because that's where, when we talk about the orphan court, go online and type it and Google orphan court. It's going to tell you probate court. It's going to tell you a district court. So when you go to jail, if you go to argue probation, that's where the government is coming in and they get direct access to the estate, because they come in probate, so they get to step in and they're like the owner for a period of time and come into that account. that document authenticated and you file it. So that's why I say even if it's an old court case, you can file it into a court case or into a courthouse. That's the only place in the U.S. you can use it. But once you do that, the courts, like I tell you right now, I got a case right now against an apartment complex. And I'll tell you what happened. I discharged my rent, right?
Right.
I did the paperwork into the, you know what I'm saying? I did the thing by affidavit, right? So, I did the thing by affidavit. I record my the paperwork to the now what happened though, upon all they the apartment didn't realize that I was the paper of the corner. Now look what she tells me as she sees the documents. She says, like clear as day, if they know something, you tell them about having a different opinion or something, they're talking to me about there's people that know about this, like just like a close circle. So you would have about no matter of fact, if she can't file out, I'm all right, cool. Now, when I come in, I on the finance because I could use a money order from Western Security by
Your mic, Brian Brown there. Your mic.
So you had to sit up there and create your own document. That's why I said you can go to Office Depot, Office Max, so you can get those personal check back. If you got a printer and all that stuff or whatever, you just put it up in there, put the disc in or whatever, and you can generate your own private check because you have a private account, and that's like you were saying, you can fund your account by getting checks with your account number and your account number on there, and by law, it is valid. It is legal tender. It's lawful money.
Right.
So, I have my private instrument. I have my tax forms. I had a copy of my lease. I had my affidavit. I had my authenticated certificate of law. I had everything on it. I had all the laws. I had the HR 807, 18 U.S. I had it on that document. So therefore, there was no. It was bulletproof. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, I filed with the apartment company. You know what I'm saying? I sent it to them. They sit up there and that sit up there, and I should have had a copy that goes to the Treasury. So I let them know you all must have to sign off on this, and then it has to let them be forwarded to the Treasury. Now here's what happens. An attorney gets involved, all of a sudden the paperwork comes up missing. See, the attorney, they knew that document because I was discharging about $4,000. See, that attorney knew what that paperwork was. So all of a sudden the paperwork comes up missing. Here comes a lawsuit for an eviction. I said, hold on, eviction. Now, mind you, they brought an eviction in July. I did the paperwork, I put on the court record. Now, this is when I realized how ahead of the court system we are. Real talk. My paperwork was so serious, I had 5 attorneys in the courtroom. I bullshit y'all not. I can get y'all the case on me. I can see it was 5 law firms in that because no one knew how to deal with that. And then when I stood up there and filed a certain paper that told them the real party of interest must come to court, the real party of interest has to be actually the apartment owner, not even the apartment manager. She just happens to be a representative, but she can come in on his behalf. So guess what that means? The lawyers, the probably like about 4 of those law firms had to sit up there and stop off because they were not the real party of interest. They had to go and hire an attorney. Now the attorney can come in as the speaker of the party of interest. You know what I'm saying? Now that's cool. So the attorney come in, but he done sit up there, he done hit the paperwork and look. He knows that I know what I'm talking about. We get in the courtroom, he's objecting and he's objecting to ask the court to up there because he realizes that I was sitting in the courtroom speaking the truth, and I had a jury in there. And see, if I would have been able to speak in front of that jury, the jury would have been informed. But I was going to let y'all know, hey, y'all are getting screwed because this document has the power to sit up there and take y'all out of debt. An attorney didn't want that to get out. Why? Because it would show that if you do your homework, the attorneys become null and void. Why? Because they're coming in and they're interfering with the inheritance. What does the Bible say? Woe unto you, attorneys. Because they're shutting up the kingdom, because they're coming in and they're speaking on your behalf. But for them to speak on your behalf, they must get paid from your account. So they're coming in and they're basically doing like a reversal on your payment in the courtroom. So the counsel, so the justice court, the judge, because, and I realized the judge and attorneys, they have kind of like a what you want to call like a low level relationship. But see, I began looking at what's called the judicial canon. And if there's anybody that's online, they got their laptop up, type in code of judicial conduct. See, I began to realize a judge must operate a certain way in the courtroom, and this is in all courts. And see, what I was realizing, the judge cannot sit up here and show where he has any type of favoritism or any type of liking for the defense or for the prosecution, because they call that being biased, partially biased. Or in other words, you're kind of already leaning towards one side before you even see what's going on. So I began to realize the judge, I believe under judicial canon number 2, a judge cannot give the impression of being influenced or having the power to be influenced by anybody in that courtroom outside the truth, the facts, and the evidence and the law. So when the attorney was coming in what he was doing, the judge began violating judicial canon when I began researching. So I said, okay. And see, the judge was already upset because when I came in, I saw paper. Well, like I said, that court case, I had to pay no money. So when the judge was disallowing the paperwork, I said, you know what? I just sat back. I said, you know what? Let him file his ruling. I said, I know this is going. As a matter of fact, I quit fighting. I just fell back. I let them rule against me. And I was going to say, why'd you do that? I started reading because remember, the federal government had already given me with the credit. See, this is where I began to realize the power of that document. I had to go through that situation, begin to realize, go back and do more homework. So I realized, I said, hold on, by that judge doing that, he just violated that. I said, you know what, I have to get that into a court of record. So I filed an appeal, but I did the appeal where I did not have to sit up there and pay for the case because, of course, the Constitution, these were my accusers, and under 18 U.S.C. 242, I cannot be deprived of this right under any color of law. The county court, they didn't like that, but they had to take that case, and they had to take everything from that lower court and put it into that court, because now here comes a court of record. So now, if the judge does anything in this court, it's recorded, and if you when you sit up there and file an appeal here, the higher court stuff, they must hear everything said in the court, and they must see everything filed on the record, even if it is an authenticated certificate of live birth, which is also evidence of there being a shareholder in the courtroom. You feeling me?
Right.
So I go to the county court. When I get to the county court, it's the exact same thing, but see what happens in the county court, I sit up there and I trip the judge up. When I get in the county court, like I told her, when she come and asked me who asked her to speak declare my name for the record, I said my name is Wilson Dwayne Rayshon, and I am the business owner of Dwayne Rayshon Wilson, which is a trade name filed on the record at the county and copywritten. Here's my paperwork. Oh, she got hot because right then and there I had collapsed the trust. That judge, let's say something. It's on court record. That judge was up in there cussing, screaming. She was jumping up out of her seat, making sure I wouldn't record stuff to the woman in the apartment complex. Like, you got to be careful with him, man, because he records. So when we get up in there, I'm asking the attorney where's the paperwork and where's the money. The attorney's trying to play dumb, but see what's happening is I know for a fact everything has been recorded. And see, whatever I sent to the apartment complex, I had everything copied. And everything after the apartment complex, I filed on the court record. The private money order, the IRS forms, everything. So the courts already had that paperwork, and they had where I sent the priority mail. They had all the paperwork showing where it was turned in, it was signed, they had all that. So see, they could not lie about those documents. So see, what I learned, you by coming in to the court without an attorney, you have the power to file your own paperwork with the court, but you don't go to the actual purpose of court. Every courtroom has a clerk of course. They have an actual floor where you can go in and file it with them, and they're going to forward it to that particular court. So before you even went to court, I had filed all this onto the record myself. So we get up to the courtroom, even though I knew for a fact they was going to rule against me, I was not worried about getting a judgment. I wanted to get the words on the record. I wanted to get on the record. This was the discharge, to let the courts, or to let the high courts up here. This is to do a private discharge of this public obligation, which is an obligation of the federal government once I receive my full faith and credit. How are you to sit up here and preach this? See, I know what I'm thinking, because you know what? That judge, she did not know what those documents were. You know why? Because they only understand penal code and statutes. My nigga, we are going deep into the books.
Right.
I mean, my nigga, we are understanding the true nature of law. We're learning about law. We're learning about title. We're learning about trust. We're learning about property rights, because all this deals with is property rights. Your name, your body, everything about you is your individual property. Therefore, when you get a certificate of live birth documented the proper way, you just reclaim ownership of your property, which is your body, because your body came from what? From the dust of the earth. You are a parcel of land.
Right.
And that parcel of land is, my land is called Dwayne. So your land is called Moneyboy. You know what I'm saying? So the true title of your land is your name. So that's why everything about you, see what I'm saying? That's why everything about you is basically it's under a copyright. You want a copyright. Why? Because you are a one of a kind. There will never, ever be another copy of you made. And see, that's what true copyright and land patents. Land patents are not for the earth. The earth is old. The earth does not become new. Land patents are for the new creations that are being pushed out of the hospital. Because that is the parcel of earth. The first parcel which was called Adam. Second parcel which was called Eve. The third parcel which was the two sons. See, we're just basically, you know what I'm saying? We're just basically the derivatives of that first parcel of earth that came out the ground.
Right.
That's why they say from the ground you came to the ground which you shall what? You'll return.
Right.
So you are seeing, or in the eyes of the law, you are a parcel of land. That's what in the state is a piece of property.
Okay.
So certificate of live birth, that's why I said anybody has the rule 220 up, it'll say right there in front of you. It's a certificate of title, because the registrar of titles has the right to take this document and memorialize it. What? See, the birth certificate along with the foot stamp, that's the memorial. That's the equivalent, like what you call that? Obituary.
Right.
You feel me? Because if you sit up there and look, it's all in black and white. But the certificate of live birth, you see there's a red number, and red is what? Red is the symbol or the evidence of life.
Right.
So that's why I was thinking when you get that document properly authenticated, and once you get it properly authenticated, I believe it's, as a matter of fact, did I email you a Rule 44?
I think so, yeah.
That Rule 44, that's what I was telling you about, where it turns that document to the original. That's why I was emailing you that stuff. And I think I emailed you the Chapter 8 of the U.S. bankruptcy. And see, that's where the Bureau of Public Debt, they'll confirm there is the actual Chapter 11 bankruptcy that exists within these public corporations. And so because they're public corporations, you can have your debt discharged in the private. That's what, like I say, the HR 192 which you get your remedy at chapter 48, 48, stats 112. And you'll also get, I believe, it's public law 97-258. And you'll also get it at 31 USC 3123 and 18 USC section 8. See, all the thing I'm doing is just reciting what's in their law books. So having a certified copy of your state's constitution, and what's going to happen is you're going to have to take time to read that document. You don't need everything. You want to read primarily like the judicial. If there's something going on judicially, you read the judicial section. What are their guidelines? What must they follow in this particular contract? And then when you're writing, if you have to sit there and do any kind of document or got to do any kind of writing, you always want to quote exactly from their contract. Because that's where it becomes legal. And whenever you do any type of documents, it's always 8 by 14. Because that's legal embodied. If you get a car loan, hold over that document. And we just 8.5 by 14. Look at your apartment lease. 8.5 by 14. Matter of fact, your probation papers. 8.5 by 14 contract. Anything legal embodied will always be on an 8.5 by 14. Now you can make an 8 by 12 legal embodied. That's under notary, but anything 8.5 by 14 without a notary, it says it's a legal document.
Gotcha.
And then you want to begin to learn about the law of four corners. I said the law of four corners was letting you know. That's why I was telling you, when you look at the dollar bill, the law of four corners, anything inside the four corners, that's one particular situation. Now, if that document or that information inside those four corners is embedded into another document, then whatever is in the four corners of the first document is separate from what's inside the next document. I'll give you an example. Say you have a document that's 8.5 by 14, right?
Right.
Now at the very bottom, you have a notary box that's been, sealed inside that 8.5 by 14. So what you would have is you got an 8.5 by 14. If you got like a rectangle stamp, and inside that rectangle stamp, you got the notary's information. So what that is the notary is not anything outside that 4 squares of her box.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? She's only, so that's why in her square box it says, I hereby or subscribe this form before me this day, so. She's only notified the name that came in front of her. Now, everything outside that box, she has no authority to say so, and her action is separate within the 4 corners of that bigger document. So that's why whenever I do my paperwork, I always do an 8.5 by 14, and all of my stuff is at the top with all rights reserved, so on and so forth. And then I come in at the bottom, I insert a separate box, and I just cut the paste, the giraffe or the Republic stuff. So when she comes in and does her stamp and her seal, I do my stamp and my seal separate. So my stamp and my seal is not being notarized or not under her authority, but she just verified that I'm the one that came in with this document and did this in front of her. And once she puts her seal on there, that becomes it becomes an official act. It becomes a public record, and she becomes a witness to that public record. And that means she can be subpoenaed in court to verify that document was presented or was, what they call acknowledged in front of her or in front of him. So people want to learn about, you want to sit there and learn your state's code on the notary public. A notary public has statewide jurisdiction in every state, in every court. That's why they say anything that's notarized is because affidavits are common law. Once you and your NBT begins, once you and your NBT begins to read that Rule 220, Once your MBT begins to look up those codes, 18 U.S.C. Section 8, 31 U.S.C. 3123, I believe it's Public Law 97258, and HR 807, and they also want to look up Public Law 94-241, because they will start researching denial of U.S. citizenship under, I believe it's Public Law 94-241. It'll tell you that anybody that became a U.S. citizen simply by virtue of some act or some law, you have the right to deny that citizenship. And they say, actually, you're supposed to sit up there and do it in the courtroom before the judge. It tells you right there in the law. But you can do an 8.5 by 14 affidavit of the dollar of U.S. citizenship. And there's formats, I believe, already online, because I got mine from the store. No, as a matter of fact, you can go to jointhedebate.com and pay $5. They'll give you the format. It's like $5. They'll email you. It'll be an automatic email. And all you have to do is just put your name in, what his name is at, and then you would just go in and swap out the Secretary of State. But you have that right because it's written in the law. All you're doing is just showing that I'm reading this law and I'm making a change. And so when they get up and learn that the federal government is under an obligation to sit up there and to pay these debts, people sit up there and stop, you know what I'm saying, having to sit up there and go through these financial situations. But we do have to read. We have to read. Because the thing is, those of us that's waking up now, we got to learn to teach our children. Why? Because this is how you break that generational curse. You see what I'm saying? Because if I sit up there and break down the church, I ain't even going to break down the church, not in a negative way, but how I can show how the church is under Caesar's control right now, and they don't even know it. And the Bible even says even the very elect will be deceived. That's why I don't go to church, and I'm not talking about on church, but what I'm saying is a church don't sit up there, and a lot of times you get coming to, hey, listen, they got to go do what? Get a loan. You feel me? To go buy the property, and the church, and then what are they pretty much doing? They're getting the tithes. The tithes ain't going to God. The tithes is going to the IRS. Because they got to pay what? Property tax. Think about that. A church is labeled as a what? A non-profit organization. So to have that title, they got to do what? They got a contract with the state. So when they're going, so that's why all the time I had to put, I'm like, man, that's why I'm like, man, hold on. These Federal Reserve notes, they have a graven image on them. They're called Jefferson. They're called Franklin. Hold on, I'm reading these graven images and I'm telling my creator to bless these great. And that's why I said, man, that's why I said for me, I said, man, I think I'm tricky. Because when I go back and I'm reading the Bible, when they would do tithing, they didn't bring money, they brought food. Because everyone was, majority of them was what? They were farmers, they worked the land. Or they had, you know what I'm saying, they had different kinds of cattle, you know what I'm saying, different kinds of livestock. And even we sit there and read it in Deuteronomy, when they did have, when they would sit up and have their big tithes and festivals, it was, they were told to take whatever, to take their money, or to take their livestock, or to take their offering, convert that offering into money, so they could sit there and buy food, and to buy drink, to buy wine, and to sit up there and to go and to glorify the Creator because of the harvest and because of the bounty of the harvest. God can't do shit with no reserve note. Why? Because it already has the owner and its pictures on it. It's on the front of it. That's why God said all the gold and silver is mine. All the gold and silver is at the reserve bank in New York. That's where the conversion was done at. Remember, they converted securities into reserve notes or into francs. That's why if you go to a different country, they can take your U.S. dollar and do what? Convert it, because it's taking your security and convert it into one of their securities. So that's where so the federal government, they're not dealing with actual money because gold and silver. Matter of fact, if there's anyone online, they have their laptops popped up, go to Article 1, Section 10, U.S. Constitution, and somebody tell me what is deemed as real money. If anybody on the equity team has a laptop that's up, look up Article 1, Section 10, U.S. Constitution.
Y'all hear that?
Does anybody have it?
Hold on 1 second. Did anybody pull that up yet? Because I can't pull it up on my device.
Yeah, because I know I'm on my phone on the internet, so I get pulled out of my power. But like for UMB, as long as you writing it down, you can always go back and pull it up. When we sit up there, look at Article 1, Section 10.
Yeah, I'm still here.
But for those who can't pull it up, Article 1, Section 10 tells you strictly that only gold and silver is lawful money, not legal tender. Look at that wordplay. Lawful money. Because see, back in the day, they dealt with what? Gold and silver. Everybody was their own independent banker until there was a bankruptcy in the 1930s. We knew this the Great Depression. So since the 1930s, technically speaking, that's when they've looked. Well, I believe the first birth certificate on these lands, I believe, was issued in the 1930s or something like that. But even in the Bible, the whole thing about recording birth, that began back in Rome. And I believe it may even further back in Rome, but I know as far as you can go back in the Bible, it was called a census. Or I believe it was when Christ was born, they were saying from this day forward, every child born had to be recorded. They want to let them know who was in that area, who was in the area, how many males, how many females, so on and so forth.
Account. I can pay off my bills. You're the only person that said that, so I don't know. If you can't accept it that way, then I have no other way.
Hello?
Mm-hmm. It's a private trust. Yes. No, they put them on the front of debit cards. They put your social security number on the front of debit cards. Yes, sir. Your social security number is on a debit card right now.
Yeah, and I was keeping that out.
Yeah, I know exactly what a debit card is, sir. Mm-hmm. Excuse me? No, sir. Like I told you, I'm going to pay with this private trust, ACH payments only. And if you can't accept my payment, then there's nothing else to talk about. So all the other stuff that you're asking is irrelevant right now. Yeah. That was somebody that wanted to wanted me to pay a bill. I was trying to pay the bill. They don't want to set my payment method. Then ain't nothing to talk about.
And you know something? You know something? Real talk. Now, on that recorded call, see how it was something like that. All due respect, sir, you and your CEO, through his obligation of Constitution, you're violating the federal government's job to the been pay this bill. If you or whoever you're working with are taking that payment, there's a breach of contract because that private account is designed to discharge obligation. So therefore, on this recorded phone call, who is breaching that federal government obligation to discharge this information or discharge this debt with them social? See, that's why I be spitting them laws under 18 USC, blah, 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 blah. Like I said, even if they don't want to, even if they want to sit up there and ignore, their recorded phone call is on there. For me, I'll sit up there and file what they call a forensic audit, or I'll sit up there and go to the courthouse, pay the money, and give Mr. Peter, hey, I want that phone call. I want that phone call on this.
Okay, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? And see, that's why when you get that stupid of blind birth authenticated, that get the credit, see, that's why I say it. That becomes a public, it becomes an obligation. Oh yeah, so now back to my court case. So in the county court, the attorney, he had kept all the paperwork or whatever, because this stuff was legit. So the judge was getting upset because I was in there spitting so much. She did not know how to handle me. The court reporter was up there tripping, like, you know, she was just typing, just looking at me because I was sitting up there spitting that thought off the back of my head. The court coordinator was sitting there, she was looking like she would sit up there and take out a pen and start writing down notes. The judge was upset because she realized I was in that courtroom, opening up that book and letting that truth that they was hiding come out. And the thing is, the attorney couldn't do anything except object. He couldn't say that I was lying. He couldn't tell me that my paper was fraud. He couldn't sit up there and say that anything I did, all he could do was sit up there and say, that's irrelevant, objection, that's irrelevant. Your Honor, we motion to strike. Yo, I was spitting so much truth, the judge was saying strike the record. And I told that court reporter, look here, ma'am, if you sit up here and you alter anything of that court record, that means you are altering the truth, which means you are tampering with a court record. This is also a government document. And I said, you become an accomplice to commit fraud. That court reporter, she was stuck because she has to report what's being said. Even if that judge says strike the record, she must sit up there and type that in. Why? Because if it goes to appeal, the upper courts for what? They want to hear what was said in that courtroom. So see, that's why I like to the court of record. I always speak that truth and put it out there. So the judge, he was getting so hot, yo, she tells me, if you don't be quiet, I'm going to hold you in contempt and fine you. I said, so what you're saying for the record is that if I don't sit up there and stop standing on my right under the Constitution, you're going to extort me. She stood back in a chair. Because that's what it is. Only thing I'm doing is standing on the truth. Then she's going to tell me, I'm going to find you and arrest you. Hold on. For the record, what you're saying is you're going to issue an order of kidnapping and human trafficking, aggravated. I said, as a matter of fact, hold on. I said, let me put my stuff down. I put my hands together, right? I turned to the sheriff's deputy. I said, sir, I'm not a violent man, and I was not a sir. I said, but all due respect, sir, the moment you touch me, that's aggravated assault because you have a gun on your hip, and that's kidnapping and human trafficking. That sheriff stepped back 3 feet, my nigga, because he knew I was speaking that truth. The judge was like, she said this what? She sat down in that chair, you know what she gonna tell me? She said, give me your paperwork. You know what I gave her? I gave her my authenticated birth certificate. I gave her my DBA or my name that is on file at the county as a trade name, which was the first, middle, and last, which shows that it is owned or it is on their books belonging to last comma first middle. They got my copyright that's on file and that's published on the internet. They had an affidavit of ownership, which is under Rule 220. They had they had my non-UCC, and they had I believe it was like 10 documents. So once the judge grabbed that and she took it, guess what she began doing? He sat there and began reading what the Secretary of State put on top of my documents. To all whom CD presents greetings. I hereby certify, blah, blah, blah. She read that into the record. She read that into the record. So what she just sat there and did is she just spoke that contract into it. This is in the court reporter sat there and typed it onto the record. Now check it. She sat up there and grabbed my paper because she didn't know what it was. She was like, well, based on this, said, well, I don't see any. I said, well, your attorney has the I said, he has the money order, the private money order right here in this folder. He grabs the folder and was like, objection, Your Honor. So she was against me. But that's what I wanted. You know why? Because I already had the appeal for the Court of Appeals. Now, take this out. Here's how I know my paperwork is serious. The Court of Appeals got my paperwork. They're reviewing everything. I went ahead. I said, look here, they can have this apartment because this is their possession. But once they see that they have been paying all that money, that Court of Appeals, they must hear play-by-play what was said in that courtroom. And see, they have that birth certificate documented. And so what happens, they have to take that case and they must deal with this case different. Because let me tell you something, my paperwork was so serious that judge had to get a fucking attorney. It's on the record. The county attorney called me trying to get that judge off the case. Hell no. Because that judge under 28 U.S.C. 453 has an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution and any laws of the U.S. But also under Article 1, Section 8, Congress regulates every fucking thing that goes on with government. So when Congress said under H.R. 807, Treasury pay these bills, when you get that sticker of credit on your sticker of my birth, that is a contract and an obligation. So therefore, this judge who is under contract with the federal government, who must recognize the acts of Congress, sat there and turned a blind eye to this act of Congress, which is on top of my sticker of my birth, and she denied me my right. All due respect, forgive me, but that bitch got me fucked up. So she will not be up because you know why? Because she breached contract, she violated judicial canon, she violated U.S. code, U.S. law, and then she violated Texas law and the state constitution. So therefore, she committed treason, breach of contract. She committed, matter of fact, I did that because once that just began yelling, it became personal. So by law, it says if a judge has a personal problem or judicial canon, she becomes disqualified from that case. So I told that judge, all due respect, Your Honor, if you in any manner disregard my rights, you have a personal problem. And by law, if you have a personal problem, you are disqualified. I said it on the record. So therefore, guess what? The appeals court, they're reading that paperwork. The county attorney filed a motion to dismiss. The court ignored that bitch. Oh, she's nervous now. She's nervous now because she didn't realize you just messed over an investor in the federal government. So now they got to realize how do we go about the case? You know why? Because the federal government, our superiors, already guaranteed this dude that his rights would be secured. And she came in, and the thing is, she's a part of our clique. So now this is a matter of divide and conquer. Because they filed that motion to dismiss back in, they filed it back in November. I called the court today. They said the judges, they ain't even looking at that. They can't. Because because I told that court, if you dismiss that judge, you're violating the First Amendment. Because under the First Amendment, you have the right to petition government for a redress of grievances. That means if you got fucked over, you have right to go to court and get remedy. So that court has it on file in their record. If you let that judge out, you're showing favoritism, you're showing that you're biased. As a matter of fact, on the state side, I took this case and put it up to the feds. So now the feds got this case. So like I told that judge, she got a nigga like me messed up. Because all my documentation is probably documented. So now she has come in and violated my private rights and also my public rights. Because even though this is a 14th Amendment citizen, I have ownership of this. This is my property, publicly and privately. It's mine to use in commerce. It's mine to use to interact with anybody else. And you came in and you stepped on my right, or you did a reversal on my rights. No, we're not going to do that. So you don't get in this ring. You're going to fight you. And as a matter of fact, here comes the attorney trying to get dismissed. The court said, no, we're not going to do that. So see, now they can't run. Because what happened, they could not file a court record where they could not state any case law. They could not state any state law. They couldn't bring anything that said that my paperwork was fraud. All they said was to have them dismissed because they're not a party to the case. That's a lie. Because when that judge ruled the way she ruled, she overstepped her boundary. She became unprofessional. She began to misrepresent the judicial system, and it was private, and it was personal, and it became very emotional. That judge was disqualified, and by law, her judgment is null and void. That, as a matter of fact, in my brief, it said that I had to court a case law. So now, that court, their hands are tied. Because everything I found is found on the record. It's a matter of public record. It is a matter of public record. And by it being a matter of public record, them judges know. As a matter of fact, if they go out and look at the case, you will see all my paperwork, my name, last name, first name, middle. I'm here on behalf of doing business as Dwayne Rashad. So see, they don't even really know even how to deal with me because I've collapsed the trust. I've merged the public and private into one. That certificate of live birth is evidence that I am the record owner, I'm the heir, that I'm the trust recipient. So they can't bullshit me. And all them documents that tell them that this paperwork was used to discharge a debt based on HR 807, I go down the line. So therefore, even the judge, if he doesn't know, when he goes to those laws, he'll realize this is legal and valid. And when you look at that document signed off by Washington, that document plus those laws, how can the courts come in and sit up there and tell me, no, you can't do this? So the law says I can discharge this privately because had I tried to use a regular money order, that would have been violated. Right. Using a private instrument and having those tax forms, that made that 100% legit. And then what happened when I sent documents by affidavit, remember in a court of law, an affidavit that is not rebutted or that is not challenged, that affidavit is there. So on court record, everything I did was by affidavit. They never challenged it. They never rebutted it. So the Court of Appeals, they had to look at that. As a matter of fact, the Supreme Court got the case, the AG got the case. I wasn't playing with them. I notified everybody about this because this woman reached a contract. And when she reached the contract, I can file a claim against the bond for protection because she happens to be one of your contractors. And as a matter of fact, I wrote Trump in that Trump note because based on her doing this, I have to write to fine him $10,000. Why? Because she's a member of his branch, the judicial branch. She's a member of the federal government, but he's the chief, or he's the one you know what I'm saying, keep that stuff in line. She can't do that. So that's why I here. And I was the FBI because the FBI they should get no one about it in the Constitution. So I want y'all to sit there and know this is what's going on here in Texas. See, when you got a problem like they do, you got to blow it up. Let everybody know.
Man.
They told me, look here, we're going to start this with his bond. I said, ooh, they know. And JP court judge, he put it the wrong way. But that's not their, it's not to deal with. Now, JP judge, I got a county court judge and an attorney. They don't know what to do. Because I whole thing, like I realized, in a fight, have technique, have technique, have strategy. Now, technique, sometimes, as long as your strategy is solid, it doesn't matter. See, I came in with the right technique. I'm coming in with a kind of discharge. They didn't understand, so they came in and they understood technique. Strategy was to get the truth on the record because the case had to do what? Keep on going up because the next court is what? The Supreme Court.
Right.
Yes, sir. Preach, brother.
I'm not worried about the victory in the lower courts. I'm not worried about that. My whole thing is, let's get this bad boy all the way. Let's get it on file with every single court. You know why? Because there is on file with every, it's a matter of public record at the JP court, county court, the Court of Appeals, the district. You know what I'm saying? So all of these corporate companies, they're noticed. They're technically speaking, they're being noticed through the court case. So by them making me file appeals, all I'm doing is sitting up there getting my stuff on the record with each court. So therefore now, when I sit up there and write this person, you can sit up there and reference this court or this court or that court. It's a matter of public record, not because the court docket is a matter of public record.
Right.
Because it has a certain location, it has a record holder, and it has a record number. The record holder or the keeper of the scrolls is the clerk of the court. Because by law, the clerk really runs the court because they control all the records. The judge is the paperwork.
Right.
So that's why, like I was saying, I think if your people look up that code of judicial conduct, man, it's so deep. And look up that and you want to slip and look up what's it called for attorneys? I believe it's the code. It's the code of ethics. No, I believe it's the I forgot what it's called for attorneys. It's called something different. I think it's the rules of y'all gotta forgive me, but it's a different set of rules for attorneys, but under judicial, matter of fact, under the code of judicial conduct under canon, I think it's canon 3B, section 8, or I think it's 3D, section 1 and 2. It says that 1, if a judge receives any information that another judge has violated this code of conduct or any law, that judge is required to take the appropriate action. So see, when the appeals court got my paperwork and it shows that this judge may have violated the state code and federal code, they cannot dismiss them. It shows favoritism. And they would be violating their own code. See, now that's that divide and conquer. But it also says under Section 2 of that same code, if a judge receives information that an attorney violates the code, it's called the Code of Professional Conduct, then that judge is required to take the appropriate action against that attorney. So what I did on that level, I learned about the state bar and the judicial commission of your state. The state bar is over your attorneys. If you have an attorney, your case cuts up, you write them in the private. You always want to write them with your last little first name. You see what I'm saying? And you always want to quote from either their code of conduct or from the Constitution. Or whatever your state's civil rules of procedures are. You always want to quote. You have to do some reading. The thing is, once you read it, you know it, you always know it. And then you teach that to your children as they come. Because guess what? You're going to pass that baton down to them because they're going to come, you're going to leave here, and they're going to be here with the same system.
Yeah.
So that's where, and see, that's not realized because if they go back in time, before there was public schools, the teacher.
Man, that's crazy, y'all.
Yes, sir. Yes, that is, man.
That was a lot of nuggets.
That's a couple stars, baby.
Drop the thing. Oh, but then it was like you had got disconnected or something. Yeah. But I was still here. I was still here listening. We were still here. I was on the phone again with the other people when he was talking and trying, so they can take care of this, this little situation. Yeah. Yeah, man. We appreciate them nuggets, man. Yeah. For real. So let me see what's tomorrow. I don't really have anything lined up tomorrow. So